Hey, what's up guys? It's Chris Greenwood, aka Manifest, 3-time Juno Award nominated rock and hip hop artist and creator of this free video training series, Launching Your Career as an Artist. Welcome to video 3. Video number 1 was crazy, talking about becoming a full-time musician. You know, the contest, people entering, seeing your videos that you posted, your songs, all the comments. One question thing I put out the other day already has over 200 comments. You guys are awesome. Video number 2, talking about how you can promote yourself over social media and just build that fan base, build that email list. If you haven't watched those videos, go back and watch them and get inspired. Dudes, are you stoked or what? Like, you know, to be able to do music full time as an actual career, you know, it was like a dream for me when I was a kid. You know, my buddy Courtney just texted me today. He's like, dude, you're back in Pickering. That's so rad. I remember when you quit your job like 10 years ago. It's so awesome. And you know, it is awesome to be able to travel the world, to be able to just see all these cultures and people and to have the freedom. You know, like, can you imagine that? Like when you take that leap of faith, when you start to write songs and people actually start to listen to them. Like, do you know what it's going to feel like when you hear your song on the radio for the first time, or you see your song synced to a movie or a video game? You're going to freak out and you're going to love it. And it can happen. It happens to independent artists all the time, whether you're signed or not. You know, to be able to perform on stage and seeing people singing your songs, and most important, seeing your music impact people's lives. That's a powerful thing that I never take lightly. You know, being able to do music and create and just to put your art out there to be loved and just to be inspired and knowing that you're making an impact and contributing to society and making a difference. And you know, I just want to encourage you, man. You know, I said this in the other video and I want to say it again. You know, you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to start to be great. And out of everything that I'm teaching in this, when I jump into this video here to train you a bit more, just remember, man, taking action is the key. And second, it's not giving up. You know, I started when I was in about around the year 2000 or so and put my first EP out in 2001. I never thought it would take me where I've come today, you know, and I wouldn't have known unless I tried. I wouldn't have known unless I quit my job and I went for it. And I remember that if I'm saying yes to something else, it means I'm saying no to something else. But you know what? Saying yes to music was the best decision I ever made. So I implore you, I encourage you, and I'm proud of you for taking the time to get inspired here and get this training into you. Okay, so let's jump into this, man. I said I was going to talk to you guys about how to write hit songs. Well, let's dive into it, because if I teach you marketing, teach you about touring, booking shows, publicity, all this stuff, if you don't have great songs, if you don't have hit songs, then there's nothing to stand upon. It's like a building with no foundation, okay? You got to have great songs, because you can send someone, oh, it's a really dope video or it's a dope photo. It's like, oh, let me hear the music, man. Ooh, that's what it sounds like. Like sometimes you can get away with a really, really great live show, but the difference between, you know, having a great live show and a good music, it's like the next level. You want to have all the pieces come together so you're cranking. So what makes a great song? Well, first of all, we start with the song title. You want to have a great song title, says the meaning, says what it's about, especially before I start writing something. You know, I want to know what it is I'm talking about, and the song title really explains that. Well, then what's the first thing people normally hear? Maybe a little piece of the hook, but normally it's the lyrics, it's the verses. And there's a quote I really like by William Zinsser who says, "Writing is not for the swift, but for the creative." Take your time with your lyrics to say what it is you want to say it in a creative way where it's like, wow, I've never heard it before like that. Like, have you ever been to a movie and you heard a line or something, and you heard someone's song and you're like, oh, I've never heard it explained like that, but it still hit me, it still touched me. It was a metaphor that just really said what I meant. Really think about and take time with your lyrics. Think about the artists that you like and why you like those lyrics. And the other key to that, when you're writing lyrics, keep it simple, stupid. And when I write lyrics, I'm always either playing an instrumental, or maybe I'll get a little bit of idea and I'll just write dry and I'll just come up with the melodies in my head, but I prefer to have an instrumental playing because I feed off of that. I'm either listening to instrumentals on iTunes, looking up karaoke instrumentals, or I have producers send me instrumentals and they'll submit tracks to me. You can get guys that make hip-hop beats or rock beats, country beats. There's producers out there that make all kinds of stuff. Just look on SoundCloud, hit people up and get some instrumentals, and I play those and I get inspired and I write lyrics. And honestly, sometimes I can be there for an hour and get like only a few lines. But sometimes all you need is just that start of the first few lines so that you can keep going. It doesn't happen overnight, but you just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Next, chorus. You want to have a banging chorus, and I like to call it the hook, because you're supposed to hook people in, get them inspired, get them chanting it and saying it over and over and over again. That's the whole idea of the chorus, and basically sums up an even more simplified version of what you were saying in the verses. The chorus is just like the grand, finale of what it is the song is really about, to kind of just drive it home. And in my song Bounce, it's about breakdancing, and it's just like a party track, and the whole point is just like bounce if you want to just bounce, and move if you want to just move and move. Hear how like catchy that is? I'm repeating things over and over again. I'll never forget hanging out with POD, and I was talking with Marcos and their producer Howard Benson, and he was talking about the song Boom, and that was the single because they said boom like so many times throughout the song, and it was just so catchy, and it became this like chant, and it became an anthem. That's what you want for people, whether it's a love song, whether it's a party song, whether it's a sad song. You want it to be an anthem that touches someone's heart, man, and you've really touched them. And, quoting Steve Jobs here, that's limitless when you can really touch them and make an impact. So when you're writing that hook, you want to think, what sums up the song? What's something someone's going to want to say over and over again? What are those songs that I keep hearing over and over again? I've worked with Adam Messenger, who's produced so many different artists, Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, Magic with that song Rude. And I look at that song Rude, can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, because I need to know. Things that I'd like to point out there is like, that's a common phrase. He used a really common phrase, he put a really catchy melody around it, and he made it catchy by repeating things in a catchy way. Say yes, because I need to know. Come on. And then, why you gotta be so rude? I'm gonna marry you anyway. Adam and those guys are just geniuses at putting together catchy stuff. Take some time and write some stuff out that you think will be really catchy, that sums up your song. I love it. Number 4, production. You want to have great production. I love getting complimented by people and say, man, that song was produced really well. The production on that, the track beds, what was going on in the back, and the different effects and different things, that is banging. And that takes the song like from a good song to a great song, and adds all the cherries and all just the wonderful niceness all around the song, just to really finish it and complete it. You want to have banging tracks. You don't want to have all the same drum samples you always hear, or that exact same guitar riff, or same, chord structure. Let's switch it up and be different so you can stick out, not so that you're way right field or way left field, but different enough to carve your own path. Hire someone to do that, to make a good beat, a good track for you. If you're talented and you can do that yourself, do it. But in the end of the day, which is number 5, you want to hire a producer. And sometimes as artists, we get so attached to our songs that we can't see how to make them better. And that's why you hire a producer, because they got an outside perspective and they're not so tied to their art like we are. And they'll be like, oh, dude, why don't you try saying that instead? And why don't you try saying it this way instead of that way? And you're like, oh, that actually made the song a lot better, man. Thanks, dude. And, sometimes they'll be like, can you rewrite this part? Because the rest of it's really cool, but then you start to lose me at this part here. About halfway through the verse, you're starting to lose me. And maybe you even know yourself, I've known, where it's like, oh, I kind of rushed this last part. I really love this, but let's make the song bang all the way through. Because you want to take someone on a journey. When you're writing a song, you're taking them from a journey from point A to point B, and you want them to experience something. You want them to feel something, and so they walk away moved, be like, oh, I need to hear that again. Hit repeat, you know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to hire a producer. If you look on the back of any CDs, you can see like, oh, that person produced that, or that person produced that. Look in your town. You can search, again, on SoundCloud's a good way. Even just Google people. And if there's someone that you really want to work with, and like maybe they're super expensive, then ask them to recommend you. Say, hey man, if I can't afford your price, who do you think I could work with that's on my level until I'm there? Especially if you're not going to be spending that much money. And I encourage you, if this is your very, very first song, write to instrumentals, write a whole bunch of songs, write some demos, record a whole bunch of stuff. Don't just jump all the way and record that very first song you ever wrote. You know how many songs I actually wrote until I actually had something recorded, dozens and dozens and dozens. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you stay at it and you persevere, you'll get good at it. Again, I always say, man, if I can rap and sing, anybody can rap and sing. You just got to do it. One of my favorite quotes is by Les Brown is that, you know, there's a lot of people better than me. There's a lot of people that could probably write, perform, sing better than me, but I represent the dreams, ideas, and thoughts they had, but I acted on them. That's the difference. That's the only difference between me and someone else who didn't, is I decided just to take action. So I encourage that for you. I'm going to take a quick break here and come back, and then we're going to jump into how to attract some record labels, baby. Okay guys, let's jump into how you can attract some record labels banging down your door. But I'm going to throw a right hook at you. Okay, you don't need a record label to have a successful career in music, to make a great living. You don't need to be on American Idol to make a great living. You don't even necessarily need to be on the radio to make a great living, or even have, you know, necessarily a music video or anything like that. A lot of dudes make a great living, you know, touring. Some just writing songs for other people. That's all they do is write songs, and other people record them. You know, some people have a great living just teaching guitar lessons or music lessons. There's no right way to do it. But, you know, we're focusing on getting signed to a record label and having them knock down your door. I just wanted to encourage you that there's just so many avenues towards this thing. Well, what did I just talk about? I talked about songwriting. I talked about having great songs. Why? Because that's the first thing the label's going to ask. Play me the hits. Play me the hits. Don't play me the album, just play me the whole hits. And some artists will be like, oh, but let me play you the whole thing. You got to hear the whole thing. No. Play me the hits. I only want to hear your 2 to 3 best songs. And that's what I want to encourage you to focus on, is just 2 to 3 hot hits. I don't want to hear all the other stuff, because you know what? This day and age, people cherry pick albums. The album is disappearing more and more and more. I still love listening to a whole album to get the whole perspective, but from a record label's point of view, they just want to hear the top 2 to 3 songs. They want to know if you have that hit that they can market, that they can take to radio, put you on tour, and just have it blow up. So the first thing you want to do is have great songs, or again, we have nothing to talk about. So I hope you realize, man, focus on the songwriting. Sure, the business side is very important, which I'll get into when I jump into the course and the modules and all that stuff. But, you know, great songs are what they're looking for, man. What else are they looking for? Experience. They want to know if have you done a tour before? You know, have you ever toured? Have you ever put a record out? How's your social media following looking? The reason they look for these is because they don't want to just take a newbie that's like brand new, because then they have to do more work, and they want to know if you're invested already. You know, they want to know if you're invested in your career as much as they are, because they don't want to invest in you, especially if you're going to like fall apart and you're not serious about it. They want to sign someone who's got a head on their shoulders and who's serious about their career. So if you're not even willing to spend money on your career, then why should a label invest in your career? Good question to ask, right? Next thing you want to look out for, attitude. Oh my gosh. One of the most amazing quotes I ever heard when I first started touring is, Chris, be nice to people, man. You meet the same people on the way up as you meet on the way down. Relationship, relationship, relationship is so important. Networking with people, meeting people, not being a jerk. You know, some bands just won't get rebooked again because they're jerks. They treated people bad. That, you know, people talk, man, and there's industry talk all the time. You'd be surprised. You'd be shocked. And, you know, I shared the other day on a comment post, you know, when I'm hiring band musicians and hiring people, skill is mandatory. And it's like, skill will get you there. Attitude will keep you there. Nobody wants to tour and work with a jerk. Nobody wants that attitude and rock star, you know, attitude. There's no time for it, and we've just had enough. So those are a few things that I hope really inspires you, encourages you about record deals and record labels, and have them chasing down your door. So create the music, start making some hot hits, getting it out there, start touring, playing shows, and you know what? Don't get stressed out if you're not that far or whatnot, but build your social media and the other videos. Have you created those accounts yet? You know, Facebook or Twitter or YouTube with Aweber, if you sign up to start building your mail list. You know, one person said to me as well, if they have a big enough mail list or big enough following, then it's like instant deal. And I want to just give you one little tidbit of advice when it comes to record deals and the money and the advance. The bigger you are and the more you've done and got accomplished, the bigger your advance will be. Because you got to understand, if you're just this brand new artist and the label's looking at you like, oh, well, we don't really need you, we don't even really want you, and you're like begging, you think you're going to get a really good deal? No, they're going to totally rip you off, man, and not give you a very great deal because you have no negotiation power. The more stuff you've done on your own, the better you can negotiate, all right? And remember, whoever gives out the first number loses. Okay, so I hope that gives you some value and to think about. Hey, I am so excited about this course, man. This is the next video I'm going to be sending you is going to be talking about the actual course, Smart Music Business, where you can sign up. I'm going to be talking about the coaching and just going through all the modules so we can take your career to the next level, get it launched, get it out there, training with me. I am like so stoked, man, because I've learned so much over my years. I've just traveled so much. I've sold all these records. I've spent thousands and thousands. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my career. And I've made a lot of mistakes. I want to help you avoid that stuff. I want to help take you to the next level, take your hand and go through this. Can't wait for you to see the next video. It is going to blow your mind. Ask me some questions below. We're going to be doing some live stuff, some webinars and different things. But post your questions below and I'll get back to them. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Peace.